Panther? Welcome to Smash Fiction, the podcast where each week we pit two or more fictional characters against one another in a battle of cubs or kits and see who would win. This week, Black Panther versus Vixen. On the jungle floor, a panther and a fox circle one another. The fox growls, the panther roars, and they fight. Clawing, hissing, leaping, tumbling, they yelp in pain, they draw blood, their eyes always on each other and never on their surroundings. Until the panther backs the fox up to the edge of a cliff, and it crumbles beneath them. They fall through the air and land in a giant spider's web. Mari McCabe awoke in a cold sweat. That same dream again, what could it mean? Why couldn't this be more like her last recurring dream about Hollywood heartthrob Chadwick Boseman? Mari picked out a book on dream interpretation from her local library and started flipping through the pages for clues. According to the book, a dream about a fox fighting a panther until they both end up caught in a spider's web means that the dreamer is unhappy about their current job, but that new opportunities await them on the horizon. She thought that this seemed reasonable. The superheroism had been getting a little repetitive lately, and she liked the idea of new opportunities, but just to be on the safe side, she also decided to double check with another, more reliable source of scientific information. That's right, Yahoo Answers. Having dreams about fox fighting panther until they both get caught in spider's web? ? Polls halt. 27 female Detroit. The best voted response that she received was from a user by the name of Angel Sander, who said the following. The dream is most likely a representation of a conflict that took place in ancient Wakanda between followers of the panther god Bast and a splinter group which worshipped the spider god Anansi. This exiled tribe eventually went on to give rise to the warrior Tantu, who wore a magic totem shaped like the head of a fox, hence the fox symbolism. Vixen was surprised. She was a descendant of Tantu, and the current bearer of that totem, and she'd always been told that her people were from the country of Zambezi, as far back as she could trace her lineage. But according to this post, before they settled in Zambezi, they were immigrants. She continued reading. Generations before Tantu made a deal with Anansi to get his totem, his tribe was one of the 6 great tribes of Wakanda. During this tribe, worship of the trickster spider god Anansi was forbidden, but despite this, Tantu's ancestors built a secret temple to Anansi in an otherwise uninhabited region of the Wakandan jungle as a means of communing with him. They even created a set of artifacts that they thought might be able to trap the devious spider god: the upside-down plastic cup of the gods and the sacrosanct sheet of office paper. Before they were able to use these artifacts, however, their tribe was discovered by the Wakandan royal family, and they were severely punished for their blasphemy. They were exiled, their names were purged from Wakandan history, and their temple and the area around it was abandoned to be claimed by the jungle and forever deemed a forbidden land. Hope this helps. Vixen, eager to be free of her haunting nightmares, eager to learn more about her people, and eager to get her hands on an item that might be able to stop Anansi from being such an asshole all the time, hopped on the next plane to Wakanda. Actually, she was gonna take the next plane, but it ended up being way too expensive. She eventually used Travelocity and found a pretty good rate on one that was like 3 weeks away, so she went with that. Then 3 weeks later, she hopped on the next plane to Wakanda. After a few hours of racing through the Wakandan jungle, channeling the speed of a gazelle and the sense of direction of a water buffalo, Vixen arrived at the temple to find that it was at this point nothing but stone ruins, overgrown with vines and trees, crumbling remnants of walls and ceilings, stairs that led nowhere in particular. As she walked through the structure, she thought this would be a really cool setting for a fight between two superheroes. Then, at the center of the temple, she found an altar, and sitting on that altar were 2 very old artifacts, which Vixen immediately recognized as the upside-down plastic cup of the gods and the sacrosanct sheet of office paper. She reached for the artifacts, when behind her, a man spoke. Those do not belong to you. Vixen turned to see a man in a jet black full-body costume with a helmet reminiscent of a stylized cat's head. I'm Mari McCabe, she said. I'm descended from... I know who you are, said the kitty man. I saw your Yahoo Answers post, and my people have been tracking you ever since. I've been having dreams of my own, similar to those you described. I think it might have something to do with my connection to the spirit world. Wait, you're King T'Challa, she said. The Black Panther. I suppose you're going to send your entire army at me for trespassing in your sacred land? Lock me up in some military prison? Your ancestors made mistakes, he said, as did mine. Your tribe forged these artifacts, and as their scion, you have a legitimate claim to them. But these are also very dangerous, and I would not be doing my duty as a protector of my people if I let these items fall into unworthy hands. So what do you propose? Asked Vixen. Single combat. To incapacitation, or until one side yields, whichever comes first. I never yield, said Mari. You will, said T'Challa. On the jungle floor, a panther and a fox circle one another. Black Panther extends his claws. Vixen's amulet glows. And then they fight. Clawing, hissing, leaping, tumbling. They yelp in pain. They draw blood. Their eyes always on each other, and never on their surroundings. And in the branches of a nearby tree, a nearby spider sits in his web, watching. But which will win? Hold on. Oh, I didn't write this part. Oh, God, I missed a part.
Oh, my God.
Oh, it's cool. Vixen will win.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
That's good.
Oh, man, I'm going to go eat dinner now.
Are we done here?
Yeah. Which is why I... Should I just...
No, do it. Lean in.
Claire Mulcairn will be your judge this week.
Yay!
Could you at least say, I don't know, which is why I, Claire Mulcairn?
No, we'll just leave all that stuff in. It'll be fine.
Great.
Representing Team Black Panther are Miles Schneiderman and MeganBob.
While we're here, don't see any opposition worth talking about.
Yeah, it's almost like we're so far above them that they've been rendered invisible to the naked eye.
Wait, I think I see something now.
What are those?
Oh, sorry, I didn't go long enough. I apologize, Miles.
It's alright.
And representing Team Vixen is Dan Mulcairn.
The quick brown fox straight up dunked on the lazy panther.
And our special guest from Tighten Up the Defense, it's Hub.
Black Panther's going to be on the edge of a broken heart when we rev it up because love is a killer. I got to be honest. I thought we were talking about the 80s California glam metal band Vixen. I got some rewrites to do.
I will admit it was consistently annoying when that was the first thing that showed up in a Google search.
Did you know that they debuted as a band called Diaper Rash in the 1985 film Hard Bodies?
I did not know that. I did know that Googling Vixen comics didn't help either because a whole bunch of other comics with Vixen of the title showed up first too.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that the 80s band Vixen had their own comic
I know,
series.
I was
Oh,
like,
God.
excuse you? What?
Yeah, much like the Kiss comic was printed with Kiss blood, the Vixen comic is printed with Vixen's real hairspray. It's amazing.
In order to see who's going first this week, I wanted all of us to go on a vision quest together to find the answer, as one, in the spirit world. And so, I slipped a heap and handful of peyote into everyone's dinner. It should be kicking in just about now.
Oh, this is way more peyote than I normally eat at dinner.
I think the rest of you seeing that coyote right now, he's kind of speaking with the voice of Johnny Cash, and he's telling me that Team Black Panther is going first this week. Team Black Panther, do not freeze and make your opening arguments.
Vixen's awesome and enviable power is also her primary weakness. The power of the red, the connection to all animal life on Earth, means that her powers can be difficult to control, which I will come back to in a second. But it's led her to acts of destruction which she feels pretty rough about. In fact, it takes a pep talk from John Jones, the hottest and onlyest Green Martian, to get her to stop beating herself up about one of those mishaps. I'm not sure if he's still the onlyest, but for a while he was the onlyest. I get it. Power is a burden, right? But animal mimicry is her only power. The literal only one she has, and it is not completely and totally under her control? I mean, for fuck's sake, the damn Animorphs can get it together and control their powers. If a pack of pubescing tweens can handle animal brain, why is it so hard for this badass fox? The other side of her power is that in order to win, sometimes it does take the complete loss of control, as it does with the famous punching through of Amazo's chest cavity panel, or whatever that thing is. Or when fighting Gorilla Grodd, the greatest fictional gorilla apart from Grape Ape. First of all, she overpowers Grodd, and props to her, but then she loses control, turns on her buds, nearly gets shot, and then Grodd escapes. This is an example of how her at her most powerful is also her at her least cognitively adept and least successful. And she doesn't feel great about losing control. Who would? It's kind of spooky. If she was going up against someone that didn't know anything about animals, or who lacked a healthy respect for the sheer power of creatures, then that would be one thing. However, Black Panther has fought some beasties in addition to his numerous fighting of humans. He's not a noob on his first trip to the zoo. He has been up close and personal with some deadly ass shit. Keep in mind that she also canonically states out loud the name of the animal that she's borrowing her powers from. She doesn't do it every time, but she does it a lot. While she's fighting sad Paul Giamatti, Aquaman, she shouts, "Electric eel! Dolphin! Whale!" Now, I am all for stating the name of an attack before using it, because it's sort of anime and delightful. But in a fight with someone who thinks on their feet and is just basically not an idiot, it gives T'Challa extra time to react and adjust his attacks accordingly. Now we come to teamwork. It is not just for making group projects bearable. It's also a popular way of fighting villains. Vixen is well versed in team dynamics and works well with others. Bummer that there will not be other folks around in this match. It will be, I was going to say mano a mano, but they're animal peeps, so like pata a pata. Vixen doesn't really do solo work. Her runs are not really Vixen's Crime Hour. It's more JLA, Suicide Squad, Checkmate, Ultramarine Corps, and the Justice League Task Force. The Justice League Task Force, one presumes, are the ad hoc committees that come together when Superman insists that Robert's rules applies and that the crime fighting proposed doesn't fall into any currently existing committee. The two noted examples of Vixen fighting alone are when kicking poacher butt in India and when fighting Admiral Cerberus, a techno-psycho criminal. Now, me and a sufficient number of machetes could take out a band of poachers. As for Admiral Cerberus, he is such a non-entity that he does not get mentioned on any DC wiki. Any of them. It's worth pointing out that Vixen's not really a full-time hero. She's a lot of other things in addition to that, and if those things made her better at fighting, I wouldn't be bringing this up. But I don't think her model career, psychiatrist work, or charitable endeavors are going to give her an edge, and not to put too fine a point on it, but she has 3 listed abilities, and they are athletics, hand-to-hand combat, parentheses advanced, and business management. However, T'Challa has a lot of great skills picked up from his kinging duties, like diplomacy, conflict resolution, and difficult decision-making. Vixen is a goddamn incredible superhero for someone who doesn't devote all their time to that life. T'Challa is above and beyond that, possibly one of the most exceptional heroes in the Marvel Universe. He's more than willing to talk it out, hug it out, or duke it out. Given that Vixen broke up with Bronze Tiger because he would never admit to needing help, and boy, does that guy need help. And Black Panther is softer and significantly less murdery. He can appeal to that side of her. They're both good people trying to do the right thing, and he's got the honed diplomacy skills and soft, loving eyes to win her over to working with him. She doesn't really have a defense against friendship or romance, and she actually does like working with people. So the chance to have a dog and cat team is going to appeal to her. Is this the gritty reboot of Cat Dog we've been waiting for? No, because that show was terrifying and upsetting.
Where do they poop from? It's all I want to know.
I know! I have so many upset... Oh, that show was
It was a prequel to Human Centipede.
I know. God damn it, Hub, I was avoiding that reference. It's so upsetting. But maybe some sort of truth about cats and dogs thing? Where it's a romantic comedy with crime fighting involved? Anyway, the point is that between the part-time superhero identity, the reliance on teamwork, and the unstable powers that she's got a pretty complicated relationship with, this is perhaps the one instance in which I can confidently say that cats rule and dogs drool.
Now look, I'm not saying that Vixen being a part of the Justice League movie wouldn't have made it way better, because it totally would have. Give her basically the same character she had in JLU, and I will totally take her over Jason Momoa with a trident or guy who belongs on different team. But the sad truth is that you probably won't be seeing Vixen on the big screen anytime soon, no matter how much some weirdos like the Arrowverse and Legends of Tomorrow. To be honest, Vixen hasn't even had much of a presence in comic books since Return of the Lion in 2008. Aside from whatever the hell Rebirth is trying to do with her, Vixen's powers, abilities, and character have remained thoroughly stagnant for over a decade. What has T'Challa, the Black Panther, done in that time? Only become one of the most powerful and most important characters in the entire Marvel franchise. I love Vixen, but if her chances in this match were translated into, say, domestic American box office, she'd be at about Justice League levels. Black Panther, on the other hand, would be on Black Panther levels. Team Vixen, we are about to turn your hopes of winning into Force ghosts, take you down like a fallen dinosaur kingdom, and sink your arguments like the Titanic. Alright, so where to even start with this? Okay, how
haven't started? What was all that?
Let's just get out of the way. Let's quickly run down where Black Panther stands in the hierarchy of Marvel superheroes. Vixen is a really good fighter, but so is former Smash Fiction winner Wolverine, and Black Panther has handed him his ass every time they've encountered one another. He's had a long-standing feud with Namor, another Smash Fiction winner, as some of you may have cause to remember. And owned him too. T'Challa's intelligence is on par with that of Reed Richards. His technology easily surpasses Iron Man's. And in terms of planning, he doesn't just rival the likes of Dr. Doom, he straight up punks his Batman-defeating ass. In fact, in recent years, due to the decline of Fantastic Four and Marvel Comics because movie rights, and the ascent of characters Marvel does own the rights to, T'Challa has effectively replaced Mr. Fantastic as Doom's primary rival. During the Doom War storyline, despite Doom tapping into the power of all vibranium all over the world, it is T'Challa who finds a way to beat him by luring him into a trap. In Secret Wars 2, or is it 2? The new Secret Wars. Whatever, I've lost count. Despite the presence of 2 Reeds Richard, it is T'Challa who puts on a fucking Infinity Gauntlet and takes the omnipotent God Emperor Doom to his limit before revealing that this too was a trap. And of course, we all know that Doom has the hots for Storm, because why the hell wouldn't you? But it is T'Challa who wins her love and respect, and, the other stuff that presumably comes with being married for 6 years. I'm emphasizing the Doom stuff because he is a renowned master planner who nonetheless consistently falls victim to the better master plans of the Black Panther, but I recognize that this court has little to no regard for Doom. So why don't we talk about something else instead? Let's see, we could talk about how Black Panther was a key member of the Illuminati, which was basically a secret superhero council that controlled the world for a while, and also the Ultimates, which was a team specifically crafted to deal with cosmic-level threats. As a member of the Ultimates, Black Panther successfully repaired the time stream, shut down Thanos' brain, and reconstructed Galactus into a good guy. We could also talk about the fact that during the Secret Invasion, the Skrulls, a race of shape-shifting aliens, invaded Wakanda using their ability to mimic human beings. Skrull mimicry at the time was so effective that they couldn't be detected by superhuman senses or telepathy, but T'Challa knew exactly who they were because they couldn't hide their souls from the goddamn Panther God. He then faked his own capture using technology to forcibly turn a Skrull into a copy of himself, which was brutally tortured by its own people, while T'Challa and Storm used their own Skrull disguises to kill the Skrull leader and drive out the invaders, leaving nothing behind but a pile of bodies and the words, "This is what happens when you invade Wakanda," written in blood on the wall. The central theme of that story is that Black Panther always has a plan and always finds a way, and it is borne out in extreme fashion. Alright, so now that all that's over and done with, I guess I should knock out the menial stuff. Black Panther was trained from birth to be a warrior. He is a master of melee weapons and martial arts. Tony Stark might be a genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, but T'Challa is a genius, tactician, marksman, hunter, linguist, acrobat, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, who also happens to be the king of the dead. He's so smart he invented a new field of physics. His powers include super strength, super speed, super durability, a minor healing factor, super senses that include the ability to cosmically see into the inner workings of the multiverse, the power to draw upon the knowledge and experience of previous Black Panthers before him, and of course, necromancy. Oh, and did I mention that he is resistant to magic, which is where Vixen's powers come from, and specifically trained to defeat magical attacks and abilities in order to fight Dr. Doom? No, not enough? I haven't even talked about the advanced Wakandan technology T'Challa keeps on his person. His vibranium suit absorbs kinetic force. His tech-enhanced vision gives him the ability to see in the infrared and ultraviolet spectrum. His claws cut through just about anything by breaking them down at the molecular level. He has both energy daggers and an energy shield, along with boots that allow him to scale walls, jump from great heights, and occasionally walk on water. He has a cloaking device, a personal teleporter, and a portable supercomputer built into his armor. And I don't know if we're saying he has the ebony blade or not, because that shit was forged by Merlin, can cut through any substance, and makes its wielder immune to death, so I'll understand if some of you think that might be quite literally overkill. Again, I really like Vixen as a character, but the facts are the facts. Vixen is a JLA afterthought. Black Panther has been described as an honorary watcher, which makes sense when you remember that the actual watcher was a guest at his wedding. You are out of your league, Mari. Wakanda forever.
Team Black Panther, enough panthering to the judge.
Yay!
Team Vixen, I'm Vixen to hear your opening arguments.
Mari McCabe, a.k.a. Vixen, is a fierce black supermodel with a severe asymmetrical haircut who first rose to prominence in the late 70s. Essentially, she is Grace Jones. I want you to do yourself a favor and picture Grace Jones in your head. If by any chance you're unfamiliar with Grace Jones, take a second and Google a picture of her. Yeah, You're welcome. Now I want you to picture that woman losing a fight. You can't do it, can you? The human brain just cannot wrap itself around the concept. The fact that her character in Conan the Destroyer didn't just immediately beat the crap out of Andre the Giant in that rubber suit was probably the most far-fetched thing that happened in that movie, and likely the entire reason why after 34 years we still have not gotten the sequel, Conan the King. Vixen is Grace Jones, and therefore Vixen wins. Case closed. Shit, looks like we got some extra time on our hands. So, what the hell. Turns out she also has superpowers. So there's that. Vixen can use the Tantu totem to channel the abilities of any animal, which is neat. She's used the armor of a beetle to withstand punches from Superman, the endurance of a tardigrade to hang out unprotected in deep space, and the speed of a peregrine falcon to get McDonald's before they stop serving McGriddles. Probably. I mean, I would.
T'Challa has more or less the abilities of a panther. Strength, agility, senses, claws, etc. Which is impressive, unless you're fighting Vixen, in which case you might as well have more or less the abilities of a blind one-legged kitten. 'Cause Vixen can also get the powers of a panther. For starters, if she doesn't really feel like doing anything, getting panther powers for her is kind of like going to the store in your PJs. Now, if she wants to dress to impress, maybe she'll go with one of the more impressive large cats, like a Siberian tiger. Or maybe she wants something stronger, like a rhino or an elephant. Or faster, like a cheetah or a peregrine falcon. Or with better senses, like a mantis shrimp or an owl. Or something really interesting, like a hummingbird's flight abilities. Or a black mamba's venom. Or a cuttlefish's camouflage. Or, if she's feeling really spicy, she can do all of these things at once. That's right, Vixen isn't just limited to taking on the powers of one animal at a time. In one battle against the Royal Flush Gang in Justice League of America number 35, Vixen combined the speed of a cheetah, the durability and momentum of a rhino, and the dexterity of a monkey. In issue 26, Vixen uses the regenerative powers of a reptile to instantly heal a broken arm, and later uses the striking power of the mantis shrimp to catch a bullet. In the same issue, she uses the reflexes of a South American ant and the speed of a peregrine falcon to evade Wonder Woman, and the body armor of an abalone to resist the blows of Hawkman. There's a part in issue 6 where the entire Justice League has lost a fight to a Mazo, who, if you don't know, is this android with the collective power of just about every superhero on the planet. Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lantern, Black Canary, and Black Lightning attack him simultaneously, and he beats them. And then Vixen one-shots him by combining the diving speed of a peregrine falcon with the body mass of a triceratops. She rips him in half, a feat which the combined forces of the rest of the Justice League had not been able to do. She's seen being able to mimic an entire forest of animals at once, and this power takes no time to activate.
But as impressive as harnessing the nearly limitless power of animal fun facts is, Mari McCabe has an even more impressive ability. Because, well, as a childless adult who still has a subscription to Ranger Rick magazine, I have no interest in denigrating the importance of animal fun facts. Even I must admit that there is an even more potent source of abilities at Vixen's disposal: fictional animal fun facts. Because in addition to the animals that exist in our world, in the DCU, there are even more rad animals. So, after she infects Black Panther with, say, the neurotoxin of a blue-ringed octopus, she can harness the mesmeric powers of an albino baboon to hypnotize his entire nation into turning on him. After creating multiple copies of herself using the self-replication abilities of bacteria, which Animal Man taught her to do in Animal Man number 12, she can then have each of those clones use this shape-shifting ability of Chameleon Boy's pet Prody, the intelligence of the gorillas of Gorilla City, the charisma of Topo the octopus, the various Kryptonian powers of Streaky the super cat, Comet the super horse, Pokey the super turtle, and Bekbo the super monkey. Vixen can take bites out of the entire Whitman sampler of nonsense that is DCU zoology. Not only that, but once she rolls into Wakanda, Mari can tap into the red there and see what local flavors of fantastical fauna the Marvel Universe has to offer. Oh, what's that? Lockjaw's teleportation? Don't mind if I do. The time travel abilities of King Solomon's frog? Well, I really shouldn't, but just this once. Oh, and what's this I sense? Oh, this is a biggie. Who's that longtime resident of the Marvel Universe? Why, it's motherfucking Godzilla, king of the goddamn monsters. You think T'Challa is ready for his strength and atomic breath? Of course he isn't. Just like he isn't ready for any of the weird-ass DCU creatures that he's never heard of that Mari can channel. Nobody is.
Black Panther's vibranium costume may resist impacts, but it can still be torn by something as mundane as leopard claws in Jungle Action number 6 or crocodile teeth in Jungle Action number 10. Furthermore, much like Daredevil, Black Panther's enhanced senses are consistently shown to be a potential weak point. However, while Daredevil is really only overwhelmed by loud noises, Black Panther can also be overwhelmed by bright lights and strong smells. What about a tiger pistol shrimp, who can snap its claws at 200 decibels, twice as loud as a jet engine? What about a skunk, where a direct blast from its scent glands can instantly incapacitate someone with vomiting? Or even worse, the striped polecat, whose smell is so nasty it can cause temporary blindness. What do you think that's going to do with T'Challa's enhanced sense of smell?
Black Panther's greatest strength has always been his ability to prepare for any situation. But this readiness is not without limit. Surprises can throw his carefully laid plans into a tizzy. When he first encountered the Fantastic Four, BP was trouncing the shit out of them, on account of he had scouted for them intensely and had prepared a way to neutralize each of their abilities. Unfortunately for him, there was a sleeping college football player who had passed out in the Fantastic Car. T'Challa hadn't anticipated his presence, and consequently his plans were foiled. Now, don't you think that the existence of an entire universe of animal abilities that are unknown to Black Panther would throw at least as much of a monkey wrench into his schemes as a drowsy student athlete? Vixen, on the other hand, has been trained to always expect the unexpected. When she was first training with the extremely underrated Justice League Detroit, she was mentored by the most hellish drill sergeant imaginable. Midlife crisis Aquaman. After his wife Mera left him, the decidedly dickish monarch of the deep decided that part of the training program for the JLD would be him going full Kato from the Pink Panther and randomly attacking his teammates when they were trying to relax. Well, this unconventional approach to training probably got the damp do-gooder a stern lecture from HR. It also had two effects on Vixen that will likely affect the course of this battle. One, she is going to be prepared for and able to adapt to surprises. And B, she is going to be especially motivated to beat the crap out of a monarch superhero.
I'll grant you that Black Panther is strategically brilliant, and we see plenty of times when he takes on an enemy that is seemingly stronger or tougher than he is, and manages to win because he fights them long enough to pick up on their strategy or combat style. But that approach simply will not work for Vixen. Vixen can change her power loadout at the speed of thought. Black Panther may think he's got a handle on her speed and reflexes, but suddenly she channels the leaping abilities of a flea, and the reflexes of a housefly, and why not, the electricity-generating powers of an electric eel, and old Panther's back to square one, while all the while, Vixen is wearing him down as she learns how he fights. Could Black Panther beat Vixen? Sure, I could see it. If Panther managed to collect reams of data on her and her abilities, and also mainlined a subscription to Zoobooks, he might be able to have the necessary preparation. So, if he had preparation, and the resources of Wakanda, and a dozen of his people working around the clock to produce some sort of super science countermeasure to Vixen's powers, yeah, I could see him being able to turn this fight to his advantage. Oh, know what he doesn't have in this case? Preparation, the resources of Wakanda, and a dozen of his people working around the clock to produce some sort of super science countermeasure to Vixen's powers. Without all that stuff? Sorry, Your Highness. Heavy lies the head that wears the crown. Or the head of the guy who tried to fight an entire jungle at once.
Yeah, but mostly, Vixen is going to win because she is Grace Jones. Unless you guys want to wait 34 years for a Black Panther sequel, Vixen wins.
Team Black Panther, if you scribbled a cheat sheet on your arm or on the inside of your lower lip, now would be a good time to reference it. It's time for rebuttals.
You're saying that Black Panther can't, adapt to people who change fighting styles and change their abilities as quickly as they do? So, during the Secret Invasion storyline that I mentioned, Black Panther encounters a number of Super Skrulls. The first one is what he describes as kind of a fighter mix. This Super Skrull, specifically designed to kill Black Panther, has the powers and fighting ability of Wolverine, Bullseye, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Moon Knight, Shang-Chi, Captain America, Daredevil, Elektra, and Black Panther, among others. Black Panther beats this individual fairly handily. He's tracking the minute changes in behavior that happens when the Skrull shifts styles, and doing that allows him to cut off the thing's arm, rip out its eye, break its leg, and then just murder it. So, like, basically he fought like a better version of Vixen. There is documented evidence of Black Panther being able to handily defeat individuals with the exact same strategy and power set as Vixen, only better.
It's not the exact same strategy and power set because there were 10 or fewer superhumans involved in that particular little mix.
No, he said also there were probably more. Those were just the ones he was identifying.
I'm sorry, were any of those people Grace Jones or Godzilla? Because I maybe missed that part.
I mean, if Misty Knight's in there, then maybe.
Misty Knight has Godzilla powers?
So scientists have documented between 1 million and 2 million species of animal on the planet. That is significantly more than any Super Skrull would have drawn from. And Black Panther had encountered all of those characters before, so he knew personally what they were bringing to the table. Vixen can change her loadout at the drop of a hat and can bring this combination of powers that he could not anticipate and won't have time to get used to in the way that he was with that Super Skrull.
Oh, you're right, because he's not at all familiar with fucking animals.
Dan, what was the number of species on the planet Earth you just said?
1 to 2 million.
Okay, so yes, that's true. However, a lot of them are, if you will, repeats or kind of slight variations. It is not like, as much as I love a lemur, it is not like one lemur has radically different powers from another lemur. And also, most of them are just beetles. Just a fuckload of beetles.
Yeah, like 7/8 of that number are like useless insects and microorganisms.
Okay, I'm sorry, useless insects?
No, they're not useless, but they don't have like shockingly different powers. There's not a special, like not every beetle is a member of like Captain Planet's team. They're just beetles.
I don't see how he's even going to be able to track what Vixen is doing. I mean, we see that her powers scale based on the size of the animal that she's channeling. Like, for instance, if she, like, channels an elephant, she gets an elephant strength. But then if she, like, channels an ant strength, she gets proportional ant strength. If she channels the abilities of animals proportionately, the hummingbird can travel a certain number of body lengths per second. And I did the math on this. If you translate that to a human size, she's moving at Mach 2. How can Black Panther even notice what she's doing at those speeds?
Let me just stop you and your roll pitch yaw arguments right there, okay? Because even if you were right about all this animal shit, even if that was the case, everything depends on you actually being able to do anything to him. Dan, I really appreciated your argument that the Black Panther suit has been torn by a leopard in the Jungle action books from the 60s. We are a little bit past that at this point. The vibranium armor cannot be penetrated by stabbing weapons, magical or otherwise.
I didn't say he was being stabbed. The vibranium can be torn. That's how you actually work with vibranium. If you tear it along its seams, it does come apart.
It doesn't matter because you have to do that with force, which is absorbed by the vibranium. And even if that was the case, she's fucking teleporting around and being invisible.
Pit vipers can see body heat, so,
I mean, I can see your cosmic threads through the multiverse.
You have no idea what that means.
One of the things that is a problem for Vixen is that the longer she spends with the morphogenetic field, she starts to absorb animal behaviors. And it fuzzes up her thinking so much so that she is not able to think with all of her rational, normal stuff. She's just in the animal brain, a la the first time an Animorphs transforms into the animal. The longer she spends fighting Black Panther and doing this, the longer she is spending in the morphogenetic field, which means that every minute that ticks down is longer that she has to fall into her animal brain, become less reasonable and logical, and be defeated because she's just doing animal brain stuff.
Well, it's not like she's gonna get stuck in hawk form like that dude in the Animorphs.
How dare you talk about Tobias that way?
She's switching back and forth between different animals. Each one causes a different reset. She's gonna be fine.
It doesn't cause a reset. As the longer she spends in the morphogenic field, the more unstable her powers and her mental capacity becomes. And if you think this fight is going to be over quickly, you're out of your mind. And the longer it goes, the more it favors Panther.
She becomes less attached to her human side as things go on, even though that's extremely inconsistent as well. But see, the thing is, that doesn't make her less effective. Quite the contrary. That whole scene I told you about before, when she ripped a Mazo in half, that was when she was full in animal mode. It does not make her less effective.
Yeah, she might feel bad about it later, but she's gonna trounce T'Challa.
Team Vixen. If Team Black Panther's arguments left you befuddled, here's your chance to redeem yourself with a rebuttal. Rebuttal.
Well done.
I want to take on this necromancy thing that Miles kept bringing up because he very pointedly did not elaborate on it. He can't summon zombies.
Yeah, you can.
No, he can't. He is the commander of the necropolis, which those spirits can't leave the necropolis and enter the real world. There's a part where he commands zombies in Secret Wars, but I will point out at that point, he's wielding the Infinity Gauntlet, so I am not convinced that that's a thing he can do because that's the only time we ever see him do it.
As recent as the Ta-Nehisi Coates run, when he's putting down a rebellion in Wakanda, he goes to the necropolis and uses the power of the dead to put down the revolution.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He has to go to the necropolis, so
Okay.
I don't think he made a beeline over there on the way to his honorable duel with Vixen.
My point about the necromancy was more a thing where it's like, hey, look, he's even better than you thought he was. If you want to say it doesn't apply, that's fine. I think the most relevant part of that argument is that in addition to all of his training to fight Dr. Doom, his relationship with the Panther God in question and his status as King of the Dead renders him extremely resistant to magic, which is what your fucking claws are. Like, they are magically enhanced claws, that's where your power comes from.
You guys were talking about how Vixen doesn't have a long history of going solo, and it's true that by and large she does tend to show up more in team books than in her own. She does, however, prove herself exceptionally talented when she goes solo, like one time when she ended up in this parallel universe in the Justice League comic, and she ended up having to fight the entire Justice League at once, and she was the one who came out of that as a victor. She beat the Justice League by herself.
And it's not the only time she's done that either. She did that in her solo series by G. Willow Wilson when Superman and Black Canary had been taken over and were hypnotically controlled. She fought them. She got punched in the face by Superman and was just like, nah, I'm good.
I'll accept that, although I will say she's also pretty inconsistent because she, got her totem nabbed by General Moxai and also got it nabbed a second time by Electrocutioner and Plastique, which is just fun to say.
And that must have really sucked for her, but she isn't reliant on the Tontu totem anymore.
No, she's not reliant on it, but it's a thing of, it's a thing that belonged to her, and then she has the ability to not have it taken from her, and yet...
I just want to point out, Miles made the point that T'Challa was made an honorary watcher.
Yes, he was.
The guys who are defined by sitting around and doing nothing, they're like, oh yes, you right there. You're the one that needs to join our proud brotherhood of nothing doers. We have a nice comfy chair for you on the moon that you can sit in.
I mean, he doesn't actually, he's honorary, so he doesn't perform the duties of a watcher. He's just kind of it's when you get fucking so-and-so's an honorary member of a club. They don't come to any of the club meetings, but we're going to put them on our roster because that's how awesome they are.
He probably just made a big donation to the watchtower on the moon.
Look, he's got his name on the memorial lazy boy. I don't know
That
what you
does not
want.
get a Watu at your wedding, all right? He was at his damn wedding, which signifies an event of cosmic importance. He's best friends with the cosmic forces of the Marvel Universe.
Hey guys, I know it's been a while since I've done this, but I kind of want to ask a clarifying question if you don't mind.
Okay.
Sure.
Go nuts.
How smart is an Amazo?
Probably as smart as the Vision, I would say.
Okay.
It's a smart robotic AI kind of intelligence.
Advanced and fast thinking, but has predictable processes, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
Cool. Just curious.
Nobody has put up a defense of my Nala and Simba tension here. I just can't believe you people. They're in a secluded jungle. There's vines. And you're thinking that there's Can You Feel the Love Tonight's not going to start playing? You people are the worst. No, you're not the worst. I love all of you very much.
I just figured we conceded that point to you, Bob.
Oh, okay.
Obviously that's unassailable.
Can you feel
All right. Enough of that.
Tonight.
I am willing to stipulate that we can, in fact, feel the love tonight.
Hey!
In fact, the mantis shrimp can feel 16 times the number of love that the normal human
Oh
can.
my god, I'm hurting! Ow, that's so beautiful. It can see kinds of love we didn't know existed, and some of them are spooky.
From the trees above echoed the tiniest of evil laughs. Black Panther and Vixen stopped fighting and turned up to see a little spider hanging above them, chuckling to himself. You have all fallen into my trap, like pigs to the slaughter. If you have to mock us, said Black Panther, why pigs? Shouldn't you be making some sort of flies in a web reference? I make whatever references I choose, said the spider. It was I who brought you here. For you see, if you rearrange the letters in Angel Sander, you get my true name, Anansi Dreggle. Anansi, said Vixen. I really should have seen this coming. Also, what was that last part? Dreggle? Do not concern yourself with the last part, boomed Anansi. Rustle, rustle, rustle. What's that sound? Is it something moving out in the jungle? Black Panther and Vixen gazed into the bushes. Is it a cheetah? Or a crocodile? No! It's the lightning round!
Oh, ow.
Bursting forth from the jungle underbrush, Black Panther and Vixen see dozens and dozens of young people recording them on their smartphones. Too late. Mari and T'Challa realize the prophetic nature of their dreams, for they have been caught in the deadliest web of all. No, not a spider's web, but the World Wide Web. That's right.
Oh.
There are now viral videos of Vixen and Black Panther fighting each other in the ancient temple of Anansi, and the commenters are not being kind. Vixen attempts to steal priceless artifact out of ancient temple. Black Panther is the embodiment of Wakandan fascism, snuffing out resistance to his regime. And two superheroes cause untold collateral damage on ancient ruins during completely unnecessary pissing contest. Anansi has now cursed Black Panther and Vixen with the worst curse of all. The internet hates them. However, he has offered to remove this curse from them if they perform for him a ritual. Since he is a god of tricksters, in order to be free of the spider god's ire, they have to perform a prank on one of the world's greatest and most humorless do-gooders. Vixen has been tasked with performing a prank on Doctor Strange. And Black Panther has been tasked with performing a prank on Superman. Both of these people, of course, have varying levels of enhanced senses or security systems, so you're gonna have to get creative with this one. What sort of prank do you perform in the name of Anansi to recover from the worst fate imaginable in the 21st century? Being milkshake ducked.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
You guys know milkshake duck? Somebody said something about, oh, there's this video of a cute duck who likes to drink milkshakes, and then the next day you find out that the duck is racist. So... All right, Team Black Panther went first to the main round, so Team Vixen is going first in the lightning round. Team Vixen, take it away.
Well, she rolls up on the Sanctum Sanctimonious, and she looks like Grace Jones, and she channels the charisma, as I mentioned, of Topo, the octopus. And who's not opening that door? I mean, Wong is sure opening that door. He sees that out there.
Once inside, of course, she begins to move among the many rooms inside the sanctum. Her first stop is to where Doctor Strange has hung his cloak of levitation. Vixen then takes the cloak to the laundromat, but then puts it in on high heat. And so by the time Doctor Strange gets it back, it's roughly the size of a dish towel.
Oh.
And then she also leaves a note from a local optometrist saying that the Eye of Agamotto has to get a checkup. And afterwards, she writes out a very rough prescription. So anytime Doctor Strange uses the Eye of Agamotto, he has to put these extremely thick Coke bottle glasses on it first, and he just looks like a total doof. And also she changes the Google Maps location for 177A Bleecker Street to be a Pinkberry. So everyone just keeps lining up at his door, expecting to get some delicious frozen yogurt.
She also manages to, while she is getting the prescription for the Eye of Agamotto, Steve usually uses that thing for some questionable mystical browser searches. So she just manages to get a screen cap of his mystical, strange, and eldritch browser history and just post that for everybody to see.
Team Black Panther, what sort of mischief do you have in store for Superman?
I think you know the kind of person I am and how naturally pranks would come to someone like me.
Well, let me put it this way. The easiest way to pull a prank on a person without having to deal with their super hearing or whatever is to prank them via the internet. Black Panther is going to make Superman a Tinder account, and it's going to be a very fun Tinder account indeed. Now, I want to emphasize that Panther, his heart's probably not really in this. Like, he wants to go in and use all his super technology to infiltrate the Fortress of Solitude and put Superman's hand into a bowl of water while he's sleeping. Like, that's more his style. But Shuri's hanging around, and Shuri has a much more internet-savvy sense of how to prank somebody. So, like, while they're doing this, Black Panther keeps saying, well, why are we trying to just make Superman a profile that'll set him up with, like, horrible party people who he doesn't want to hang out with because he's not that kind of person? Why don't we set him up with, like, nice dates that he would actually like Bob wants to?
This is what I want.
Bob, do you understand what a prank is?
No, I hate them.
And Shuri is like, no, we have to, like, use a photoshopped picture and make up all these weird details of his biography. And the thing about it is that people are going to think, like, it's just going to be at the Tinder count of Superman, right? So, like, as soon as this shit comes up, this is going to be way more of a story than, you know, Black Panther and Vixen desecrating some kind of holy temple. I know how the internet works. The internet's going to forget about that real quick and go right over to, holy shit, Superman has a Tinder profile? And it says what about Wonder Woman?
He's gonna feel obligated to go on all the dates because he's Superman. And he's gonna feel obligated to, like, go do all the things that they want to do because he's Superman. And he's gonna feel obligated to go to all the places that they want to go to eat because he's Superman. And then he's like, I don't know, he's just really nice, so he's just gonna do whatever he wants. So it's not really gonna be a prank so much as Superman just does extra nice things for people.
Superman's too nice to swipe left on anyone. He's like, well, they seem pretty nice.
Of course.
I believe there's good in all of these people.
The way it's going to work is he's going to be hanging out with, like, Batman, trying to get Batman to, like, help him figure out who the fuck is doing all of this and slandering his good name. And right as they're about to, like, find some kind of lead that's not actually going to go anywhere, but they think it is, Superman's like, crap, I have to be at the Thorny Badger nightclub in half an hour. This is going to be awful. Why did somebody sign me up to do this? I don't even like it. Fucking electronic music. Fine.
I'm sure he'll put on a good face and party, and, you know, maybe he'll discover that he likes electronic music something.
It's gonna wear on him, though, and, like, as the dates pile up, he's gonna get more and more frustrated with all of this, and finally, like, just go on this really embarrassing media tirade about how somebody's ruining his life.
So great. Basically what we've done is make Superman sad. So that's our fucking prank.
Now, see, they should have signed him up for an account with farmersonly.com. Because he would love that shit.
They also signed him up for a LinkedIn, and he can't unsubscribe from it. And all he gets every goddamn day is more notifications about people who he might be friends with and who might help his network on LinkedIn. And then random business dudes start sending him weird business, like whatever the business dude equivalent of a dick pic is. Probably a dick pic, but also a business card balanced on his dick.
The worst part about all of this is that Clark Kent gets assigned to cover it.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, also Vixen puts a bullion cube in Steve's shower head.
Yeah, that'll show him.
Oh man, he will not like that. He's a vain man.
No, he's going to smell like soup.
I like that you guys took prank, like, I think as it was meant to be taken. Bob doesn't like or understand the concept at all, and I think it means to thoroughly smear someone's reputation and ruin their life.
Actually ruin their life in a not funny way. All right, guys, you did good.
Sure, thanks.
Like, I think I'm starting to come down off the peyote a little bit. I'm kind of shaking. My heart rate's a little crazy.
Go drink some water.
I don't know. I'm starting to, like, the good hallucinations are going away. Now we're getting, like, the bad hallucinations. So I'm going to need a minute. Talk amongst yourselves.
So the most important thing I want to say is that Claire mentioned Vixen checking out a book from the library, and that just made me happy. So there. Libraries.
Yes, probably a zoo book.
And Zoobooks and Ranger Rick and Grace Jones. These are all good things.
Yeah, I actually have a whole stack of Zoobooks behind me. They're fucking
Do
amazing.
you still have them? Did you just have them still?
No, I lost them from when I was a kid, but I've refound many of them at Goodwill's over the last few years.
I was going to say, so you're the dentist office thief I've been hearing so much about.
No, man, I just do that for the highlights, man. So many hidden pictures.
My mom recently gave me a box full of shit that I had, like, left that she had found when she cleaned the house. Big box of like, crap from when I was younger, and there were a bunch of Ranger Rick magazines in there.
They're so good.
I gotta say, though, that, like, did any character benefit more from Marvel getting the rights back in 2005 and being like, all right, all the characters that we have rights to are gonna be great in the comics, and all y'all rest of you people are gonna suck?
What, then Black Panther?
Then Black Panther, yeah. I think that, like, since 2010, that guy's stock has gone through the roof before the movie even came out, and now it's gonna get way more so.
I would actually put it back before that. I would say in the late 90s when Christopher Priest 80s took over the Black Panther series.
That's a great
was
run,
when
yeah.
that character started being taken seriously as an A-lister. And what he did was really smart in the writing, too, because he introduced the Everett Ross character who didn't take him seriously at first and had him just overwhelmed with the magnificence that is Black Panther. And that's also the first time since the character was introduced in 1966 that they had a black writer on the book. And that is when shit started taking off.
That run is so good.
The Priest run is amazing.
I really like the Ta-Nehisi Coates run on Black Panther, but the Christopher Priest run remains my favorite.
Yeah, it's mine too. I like the Hudlin stuff. I like the Ta-Nehisi Coates stuff, but yeah, Priest is my jam. And I hadn't even known, like, he wrote for Marvel in the early 80s as Jim Owlsley. Like, I didn't know that was the same guy. He wrote the Falcon miniseries in 84.
I was talking to Kit about that because Jim Owlsley is actually his real name, like his birth name. It's funny because when I learned that, I shared that information with Kit, who was very upset because, in her opinion, if your last name is Owlsley, you already won. You don't need to change your name anymore. Like, you just sit on that name.
Like a cat in a box. Are there other really niche animal super people?
There's Animal Man. He's pretty rad.
But is there one that's like just bizarrely niche?
Bwana Beast.
KG Beast?
Bwana Beast can take any two animals and morph them into a third animal.
Oh no, so he's the reason that centaurs.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. There's Hub's favorite, the Wizard, who gets his powers from a mongoose.
Well, he got a mongoose blood transfusion, and that gave him Flash level speed. And when he got that fast, he decided to put on a yellow costume and call himself the Wizard. So good.
And just to be clear, it's a regular mongoose, right? It's
Yeah.
not like a radioactive mongoose.
No, it's just a mongoose.
In the Marvel Universe, mongoose are that fast.
So I'm curious, why did they have mongoose blood in the hospital instead of human blood?
It was the 40s, man.
40s. You know, whenever there was that shortage of human blood and there was the great excess of mongoose blood.
This was, of course, a really hard one. I went back and forth several times, like making arguments and convincing myself one way and then convincing myself back the other way during the few minutes that I was away. Black Panther's really smart. Vixen has more powers than him, is like what it comes down to. I think those are their two biggest things. Vixen has a ton of crazy powers and can combine them in all sorts of ways and do all sorts of things that Black Panther can't see coming. And it's going to be a long time before she runs out of stuff to do. This is not one of those cases where it's like, oh, if one person can just get a hit on the other one, though, then it's going to be over, because both of them are also really durable. You know, Vixen, as you said, can withstand punches from Superman, and Black Panther's armor absorbs force, and he's also resistant to magic. So, like, I actually think they're going to have a hard time hurting each other. I think, like, not only are they going to be good dodging, but if they hit each other, they're going to kind of, like, bounce off each other a lot. I kind of feel like this fight's going to go long. I feel like it's going to come to a person who can make better plans. And, like, I am very impressed by a lot of the stuff that Vixen can do, where it's like, oh, she can do stuff with, like, sound. She can do stuff with loud noises. But then also, you're talking about if she's channeling powers for a while, she's getting less reasonable. Like, I mean, less, you know, like, she can channel the intelligence of a gorilla, but at the same time, like, I don't know if she's going to be doing that. I think she's going to be channeling larger and larger, stronger animals and trying to fight him, from what I understand about her. Like, I kind of feel like Black Panther's going to have enough time to get a plan, and I think he's going to figure some way out of beating her. So I'm going to give it to Black Panther, even though I will say she has so many more powers than him that, like, that alone, like, her sheer flexibility really makes me want to give it to her.
I'm not thankful. This is literally the most wrong outcome of any match we have ever done.
Wait, I thought that you wanted both sides to win because you liked animals.
One of them has literally all the animal powers.
And Godzilla!
Exactly.
If you felt so strongly about it, jump in as an advocate.
I should have. It is now time for seppuku. Someone else will have to do the kit thing in my name.
I cannot tell you
Don't
how close it was and how much I would like to give it to the other
and
team.
how wrong you are?
I'm so wrong. I immediately regret my decision. Are you happy?
No, you have to reverse the thing right now.
I don't want anybody to be upset. I don't like this.
Thank you to people I love still.
Aww.
Over to Twitter, thank you to Mike Booch, Hayden Whom Time Forgot, Neil Butler, and Cosplay Fiend. Over to Tumblr, thank you to Sid Rabbit Blog, Jeep Rhyme, and Fat Blunt 69.
Fat Blunt 69.
On Facebook, Network. Thank you to MP Duffy, Matias Tautimez, Sharon Schneiderman, Viola Sanderlin, Sean Patrick Craig, Tom Groh, David Waters, and Mike Booch again.
And we also wanted to thank our featured patron this episode, Angel Sander, the second Smash Fiction patron who has been secretly revealed to be a trickster god from a comic book universe. So thank you to Angel and to all of our patrons. They get all sorts of rewards, including being written into our storyline and all sorts of bonus content on our Patreon site. There's bonus League episodes. There's various rants that Miles does to one of us. There's Claire examining different artistic things. Liz does songs. Kit does pictures. MeganBob does slash fiction. It's the Wild West over there, and it's amazingly fun.
We got a wonderful email from Matt Laserwitz.
Oh, hey, I got emails from him.
Yeah,
Really?
he actually mentioned you in this very email, Hub.
He has the coolest last name.
I know.
Oh, on an off note, yeah, Owlsley, what the fuck? Why would you? If I was named after, my surname was literally any bird name, I would never change it.
All
Kit Bush Tit.
All right, well,
Kit Blue-Footed Booby. I will take any of it.
but yes, I wanted to point out Matt Laserwitz's really kind email that he sent to us. He did mention, in fact, that he discovered us via Tighten Up the Defense when Hub mentioned going on our show, which, by the way, Hub, you did for like 6 episodes straight, and
Yeah.
I'm super grateful for that.
Dude.
Yeah.
You're giving us more plugs than a power strip.
I can never keep track of when things are coming out.
If you could just go ahead and do it for the next 12 episodes this time, that'd be great.
I'll see what I can do. I'm glad it worked out. I did a good thing if I could get more ears on this show.
No.
You sure did.
Well, thank you for coming on, dude.
Really happy to. It was a pleasure.
Thanks to Hub. Thanks to Matt. Thanks to everyone.
Thanst to the first person whose
Inclusive.
last name was Laserwitz.
Yeah, you established a strong brand for yourself and your descendants.
I just want to thank the Black Panther for being awesome.
All right, we're done.
I just want to thank everybody who's been on our Facebook group and being really lovely to each other and
Yeah.
Yeah.
answering fun questions with me.
Yeah, it's been very fun. I've been getting in on there. We had a nice talk about like theme songs for TV shows and
Oh, man.
a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, there's like new topics popping up all the time. It's just a fun little place.
Thanks to MeganBob.
Thanks to MeganBob. Yeah.
We have several fans who have been proposing their own threads, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, when they do that, I'm like, yes, baby birds, fly.
Yeah, I did want to say, like, don't, because one of them was like, I don't know if I should usurp. It was like, no, don't worry about it. Post all the stuff you want. Because I want to talk about whatever you're interested in, too. I'm just posting stuff I'm interested in, but, I want to know what you're interested in.
Hub, tell us about Tighten Up the Defense.
It's a hard-to-describe podcast where I get drunk with my brother and we read comic books. It's called Tighten Up the Defense.
That's not hard to describe at all.
Well, the part where it gets tricky is that some weeks it's Teen Titans or the new Teen Titans, and some weeks it's the Defenders, and there's really no reason for that other than I like both series.
Well, I said last year when you came on the show that Tighten Up the Defense was one of my favorites, and it has only climbed in my estimation in the months since. So anyone who doesn't already listen to that show needs to do so, because it is delightful.
Ah, shucks. Thank you so much. When you first invited me onto your show, I was prepared to pretend that I liked it, and I was so relieved to not have to. Because you guys do a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening to this week's episode of Smash Fiction. Next week, you get another episode of Smash Fiction because it turns out there's 5 Sundays in April this year. It is going to be Hero Protagonist versus Sombra.
Smash Fiction is produced by Kit Mulcairn, with logo design by Claire Mulcairn.
Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod at Incompetech.com for our theme song, Hitman.
You can find us on Twitter at SmashFic Podcast and search for the Smash Fiction Podcast on Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube.
Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice, and if you leave us a good review, we shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Smash Fiction is made possible thanks to our supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/smashfictionpodcast. Please consider donating as little as $1 each month. It helps us keep the show going. And we have great rewards and extra content for those who help us out.
If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other contributions, send them to us at smashfictionpodcast@gmail.com and help us continue the fight.
Welcome to Smash Fiction, the podcast where each week. Oh, well, yeah. How do we do this thing? All right, there. We pick two. All right, I got it.
A2 opening statement.
I didn't write it. I just thought I was gonna wing it, and then I realized I should have written it.
Hubris.
Yeah, hubris. Yep.
Oh.
It's all right. Tighten up the defense fans will appreciate Hub's dogs. That's
true. That's a good point.
I always get a little delighted when I hear your dogs bark on the show.
They're also
It's
guest
just
stars.
the one. That's the thing.
Well,
He makes up for it. But yeah, it's an animal-themed fight. So,
Yeah,
you
there
know,
you go.
just maybe Mari is channeling the fucking irritatingness of my dog's barking.
I like that your dog's superpower is having the borks of 2 dogs.
Yeah, he's a real nighthawk about it.